Oh, Coach Patel, on behalf of the Cricket Show, welcome to our post-game discussion of the fourth T20 cricket match between the West Indies and India. The match this morning was delayed by about 1 hour, just as you predicted in our match preview 2 days ago. I know that you do not live in Florida, so tell us, how is it you so accurately forecast the delay?
Well, as I said, I'm a frequent visitor to Florida. I was saying like my 35 years in US, I normally go a couple of times a year. So I know the weather situation there. And then also during last 10 plus year, I've been to this Fort Lauderdale Stadium so many times. So we know the forecast situation, we know the pitch condition, and as predicted, this is what exactly happened today.
The West Indies captain won the toss today and elected to take the field first. In your opinion, should the West Indians have elected to bat first?
Remember, I told you yesterday, 9 games out of 11 won by the team winning toss and batting first. That's a simple stat. Number 2, you got to look at the history. As I told you yesterday, that the pitch always begins very well in early morning. And as the game progresses, you are expecting a slow, and sometimes it's breaking up before it comes to. So it's not easy to bat on, which you can expect in first 6 overs. And remember, I told you, whichever team wins the toss and going a batting first, the power play is the key. And all credit goes to the Team India today, because in power play, they were able to score 50 plus. And not only that, the biggest threat the Indian team could have expected, or the West Indies was, I will say, anticipating that the McCoy can do something again, just like what he did in St. Kitts. But it's a total failure today. In the very first over, he conceded like almost 25 runs. What happens here? The all pressure went on to the West Indies, because McCoy, the key bowler, they were expected to put the pressure on Team India, did not work. It went the other way. And now when India retaliate very well with the skill he applied in a St. Kitts game to grab those 6 wickets, he failed to deliver that. But I will give more credit to the Indian batsmen who tackled that situation, and they were knowing what's coming. And when you score 25 runs in very first over, it's a huge pressure on bowler, and not just McCoy. It's also give the same pressure to the Drax. He's another left-armer supposed to bowl next. And that is what. And once they got this a good total in a power play, they keep up the momentum. Even they lose some wickets, until the end of the inning, they were in position to keep up building a good total. And 160, I told you, that's 155 is average score. 157 is overall format. Now they put extra 34 runs. That's a huge pressure on West Indies. But I will definitely say one thing, that West Indies won the toss and giving the batting to India, that's 100% wrong move. Especially when you see the surface is flat. You know the history, batting first. Why you want to take a chance?
I see. So in view of the rain showers and the overcast nature of the weather conditions, did Pooran expect that his quick bowlers would prevail in this match?
I'm not sure on that one, because if you look at this pitch and the forecast situation, and absolutely any coach nowadays, the T20 heavily rely on sports analytics, which is what happened in past, how the game's being played, what is expected in terms of what is the average score, and what we expect in terms of the batting first or batting second. Those are the consideration comes first in head, I would say. But the reason for the today, it was definitely confusing for the both captain. I will not say that India made decision. If the Indian captain had won the toss, he could have done the same thing, because they were running low on confidence. And if you hear the comment from Indian captain, he clearly says, we don't know this pitch. So let's get out there, analyze it, let's build on it. So it's a very simple tactic. Why don't you just do it? And guess what happened here? India played the key role to win this series. With this, today's game was important. Even they sidelined three key players, I would say. Hardik Pandya is their main winning all-rounder, right? They have the Iyer is also another great batsman right now in form. And even they set them out, they win it. There's only reason is because of the surface. And the India did well to read it, analyze it, judge it, and they used it properly when they were bowling. West Indies did not do it. There was a little advantage, if you look at it. There was a little advantage for the bowler as soon as the game started, but they could not use it properly.
So the West Indies had an unchanged team. India had several changes, as you predicted previously. Did the three new players contribute to India's victory?
Yes, sir. That's how it is. Akshar Patel did well. He pushed the inning towards the end to score runs, right? And then the right-arm leg spinner did well as expected. And the Sanju Samson, who came out as a keeper in a year spot, did also good. So if you look at it, this Indian team is right now in a testing mode, I call it. They are trying to rotate so many players to find a proper chemistry before they go to the World Cup. And this is the key series. And this is what they're trying to give a lot of people opportunities and chances to perform. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to find a team chemistry which is capable to compete against every team in the world. Look at the beauty today. They played the 3 wicket keepers in 11. Rishabh Pant is officially keeper, but he went as an opening batsman. Sanju Samson came out as a batsman and keeper. And then you have Dinesh Karthik as a keeper. So this is the beautiful thing India has it. There are players who cannot just bat, but they can either contribute through the bowling or they contribute through the keeping. But the key and most important part in T20 cricket is not about batting and scoring runs. You must have the secondary skill which can help the team, and that is what the India is building up. They're all all-rounders. It's not just coming for bat or bowling. The secondary side, like Hardik Pandya, yeah, he can bowl well as he can bat well. If you look at Ashwin, he's a bowler. Yes, he's a bowler, but at the same time, he can bat at some score. Look at the Akshar Patel. So India is strengthening in the game's demand to have the player who can take care of the two roles.
Now, today, India scored their highest T20 total runs, 195 for 5. And no Indian batter scored a 50 in that innings.
While I can correct it. I can correct it. It's not the 191 is the highest score. On the same ground, India has scored 244 in 2016.
Okay. Well, in this particular match, India scored 195 and no Indian batter scored a 50. While on the West Indies side, only 2 batters managed to break 20 runs. How do you explain what happened?
Well, it's a batting failure. If you look at the India, they tried good, but none of the batsmen was able to score the 50. But at the same time, we do not need to forget about the 1 or 2 players who can contribute 50 or century something. But it's about pitching. Everyone going out there, if they can pitch in 20 to 40 runs, it sums up. At the end of the day, this is just 20 overs. If you have 5 batsmen, if those all 5 can put like 30, you had easily 150. You don't need the 1 batsman to score 50, and some of them don't score. West Indies failed in one sense because I believe from the ball 1 when they started facing, ball was coming up a little bit late and slow. That's a factor. But at the same time, I think the batsman did not do the right thing. The first thing first you want is get on the pitch, read the pitch, look in the team situation. And if you have to take few deliveries to settle down and start striking a ball with the confidence, which they did not. And that's what they collapse. And once the wicket falls, your run rate, required run rate goes higher. It's automatically a pacer to the next batsman and the sitting batsmen out there in pavilion.
Right. India has won this T20 series by 3-1 with one remaining match tomorrow. Is this an unbeaten series tour by India in the West Indies?
No, they had a success in the past too. And this is usually happens one of the game. There's one game, the West Indies one is because of this McCoy performance, because he claimed those 6 for 17, I think. And that was the turnaround because India collapsed and West Indies was able to manage. But overall, if you look at this current tour, especially when India did not bring so many frontline players or the first in selection process kind of players, but even though they are competing really high and throughout the series, it doesn't look to me that West Indies is even competing against them. They are just trying to compete.
Returning to the match played today, we saw that West Indian hero of the second T20, Obed McCoy, who claimed 6 for 17 then, was harshly pummeled by the Indian batters. His figures of 2 for 66 was the most expensive in his 4 overs. Did the Indian batters study the film of McCoy in the second T20? What happened from a West Indian perspective?
There is no need to. Again, this nowadays is T20 is all about analysis. Once somebody performs, there are people out there who will find out what exactly you did and how you succeed. And again, I told you before the pre-game, on this particular pitch, only a street smart bowler will work who has a variation, all sort of variation, length, line, pace, and those are the bowlers can take advantage. What the McCoy did is he did exactly same thing what he did in St. Kitts. Over there, because of the surface, it was had a little extra bounce and extra space. He took advantage. Here, don't. And when you see that kind of performance, the bowler has to think. It's not about just bowling. Are you bowling to the conditions? And are you bowling to the team needs per the plan? That is more important than just bowling.
Right. And speaking of bowlers, Harshdeep Singh and Avesh Khan, 3 for 12 and 2 for 17 respectively, were dominant bowlers today. Can you explain how they both managed to mesmerize the West Indian batters so much?
Again, as I said, these two bowlers are not just bowling. They find a way to perform as per the team plan. And Arshdeep is the beautiful thing to see. He is a left-armer, and he has a real good control on two different things. One, he can do accurate Yorkers time to time. And at the same time, if you look at it towards the end of the inning, if you're throwing the ball towards deep, it's IPL experience where he is trying to contain the batsman from letting go to the big boundaries. And that is the beautiful thing, this bowler has it. Avesh Khan is another bowler, is doing the same thing. These people are getting chance because of the IPL performance where they have bowled against many world cricketers in the IPL. Now, when you're coming in West Indies, this is the 4th game, and West Indies has not made major changes, means you are seeing the same batsman coming over and over. So bowler has a more advantage to read the batsman, what they're going to do, what the momentum they carry, how much the confidence and body language they are bringing into the game. And these bowlers are smart. Again, they all did is a variation. This is the simplest thing to do. And the West Indies got into the trap basically because of the pressure built up. Because once you start losing quick wickets, when you are not able to score boundaries, it's automatically pressure built up.
See it. I see it, Coach. The final of the series will be played tomorrow at the same venue. Do you anticipate any change in the Indian team tomorrow? Should India rest any of their superstar players?
100%. I'm expecting 2 to 3 change tomorrow again, because this whole series is not about winning it. Their primary objective on this tour is to try almost every player they have in the squad to make sure that everyone has something to prove it, because there's a whole series, the way I look at it, including when they lost and they give the new bowler to bowl a last over. I will say it's not about winning. He had a better option, experienced bowler out there who could have bowled that last over. But I think India is more experimenting with the goal in mind to find the right players for the World Cup. So in that sense, I will not be surprised if they can rest maybe 2 or 3 players tomorrow who has played these last 3 or 4 T20s and bring those people who are well rested. And because there are not many players who do not have enough opportunity, we cannot say, because India is rotating these players. So the time is now, India already has won the series. So tomorrow is just formality game. So I will not be surprised if they take 2 or 3 guys, say, you know what, let's have a rest, and other people's go.
Now, the West Indies, struggling as they are, appears to be very much in line to make some changes to massage their pride. Do you expect to see any changes in the West Indies team? And more specifically, is Jason Holder's return to the team a plus or a minus for the West Indies?
Well, this is a mix and match outcome in terms of the Jason Holder. Whatever the expectations fans have, the people in West Indies has, is not going well as expected. But at the same time, to me, as soon as you bring Holder back, I think his role in the game, as per the game plan, is a completely different. And because of that, there are some setbacks, like they sent him as a pinch hitter way early at the top of the order to begin with. And when he did not succeed, it's put you mentally down. It doesn't give the moral to the player to do well. And now with this back-to-back losses, when the all bowlers are under pressure, I'm not expecting that the Jason Holder can do something better tomorrow. It will be the same performance, because it's all credit goes to the India. They already figure out what these bowlers are, what they are going to bowl against. And this is not the pitch you can expect. So if the India is batting first again tomorrow, write it off. West Indies cannot chase.
So I understand what you said about Holder, but what about the team? Do you think they will make any changes at all?
Well, the West Indies is not in a flexible situation like the India does. The roster is limited, and even they make a change, I will say maximum 2 changes are possible, the way I look at it. They will try to bring 2 players to switch around and see how they perform. And I will not be surprised if they can drop Drakes or McCoy, one of them, out of the 2 left-armers. That has to be changed if the team is thinking proper way. And another change should be bringing in someone who can bowl spin, because right now you don't have that much option. And I'm just surprised here. The Hayden Walsh is a good, and he can definitely perform well in Florida because he used to play for the USA. He has played so many games in down south, and he can be the beautiful bowler to have it. But unfortunately, they are relying more on batting all-rounder Hussain. And because of that, they don't want to bring. But in tomorrow's game, I will say West Indies might bring the second spinner as a Jaden Walsh.
Okay, Coach. Well, you've had it right so far. So we'll see if Hayden Walsh take the field tomorrow. Now, After this series, what is next for India? And
India is playing against Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
They are going Zimbabwe. So basically, Zimbabwe-India series will be the last one to fine-tune and touch base whatever they want to, because this is the final series before the selectors sit down and finalize that team for the World Cup.
So, do you think India will prevail in the T20 championship schedule for Australia in October?
It looks like if you look at the plan, they'll be ready to go. There's a lot of people are already rested. They are trying to give more confidence to the new and inexperienced players so they can be ready for the world stage. That's a beautiful thing to have it. And the third thing is their headache. They got a huge pool of players to select this World Cup. So it should be the heavy competition. Not only that, this particular series is actually the bounce back time for a lot of other players, like Virat Kohli. He wasn't doing so well, was expected to have the rest. Now he got the rest, and all of a sudden he sees even his position is kind of right now, if you say, where you want to go? You want to give a chance to the current performing player, or you want to bring the Virat Kohli back because of its stats? So in that sense, I will say if you give a chance to Virat Kohli now in the next series, he'll be definitely pumped up and prove it. Hey, where I belong to. You know, so this is the good competition for the people who are underperforming because they got the rest or sideline, whatever the fans can say. But this is the good time to bounce back and think about it, regroup their mental capacity, and come back to performing the way you used to do.
But with so many tried and tested players, your squad, meaning the Indian squad, is so deep that when you select a squad to go to the World Championship, there will obviously be some very, very disappointed players who've shone during the build-up. What will that do to their mental and emotional feeling to be left out of the squad for the T20 Championship?
Well, when you're playing for the national team or in international arena, I call it, the world stage, you got to be a real good sportsman first. It's not about getting disappointed, or you can say, I'm not motivated enough because I'm not getting opportunity. No, you got to work hard to make sure that you compete against others and you edge out them to make the team. That is what it is for the India team. Now, if you're playing for the India, you have to understand the other part of the problem or solution or the trend or the protocol they have. We have a player who can score a triple century and next series he doesn't belong to that 11. You have a player who can come out and score double century and all of a sudden next match you are out. So this thing is happening. So it's not about the current performance. What the Indian team is looking for is who is the potential to continue performing on a consistent basis. That is what they're looking for. And because of that, they are look for those strengths in those players and they try to keep them instead of someone came and do it. The people, if you look at, to my experience, the people who did not do well after one series or something, they are not keeping their work to continue to make sure they are putting consistent performance. And because of that, they are like on and off. And then that is the thing. Like, for example, if you look at it, we can say about 6 opening batsmen India has right now. You look at the Rahul, you got the Pant, you got this Sharma, then you got the Dhawan. If you look at all those, it becomes a really a critical and important part who you want to rely to send them in opening. You can't send all 4 or 5 players to the opening. But at the same time, the selectors might think about the second solution. Who can go do well and do the 1 down or 2 down and I can still use them on the field to have some substitute bowling things like part-time bowlers do, 1 or 2 overs. Or sometimes, let's say, if you need somebody to take over the gloves from the keeper. And that is what the India is. India's strength is right now is not about the particular chemistry of the team. Like you pick up 5 batsmen, then you bring 1 wicket-keeper batsman, and then you can have 2 all-rounders, and then you bring like 2 seamers and spinner. They don't buy this chemistry anymore. They learn this trade. So now what they look for is the person who can take the multitask, the dual role people, secondary role. Somebody can do one job as the priority, highly preference, but at the same time, if teams need something, they are ready to slide in for the second role. And that will be the critical situation for any sport in this 11.
Thank you, Coach. As a final thought before we say goodnight, congratulations is, of course, due to the Indian women's team in the Commonwealth game, who are now in the gold medal match tomorrow. What is your final thought to the viewing public about the women's performance in these Olympic Commonwealth games, I should say?
Well, at the situation is definitely India has secured the silver no matter what. They have nothing to lose, but they need to try to go for the, and I can tell you this can be the different situation because they are playing in England. And don't forget, when last time Australia and India played in England, India did beat Australia in that World Cup game when the captain has scored 175 or something beginning, and they put the pressure on. No doubt Australia is a most favorite in this tournament because of the strength, but at the same time, India is a potential with a lot of young ladies out there. And if they go with the proper mindset, like, hey, we have nothing to lose, but we just have to prove it like we are better than them, they can win it. And that will be the game tomorrow. I will say India is not going in pressure to win this game, but Australia has to go under the pressure because they want to win it if they want to keep continuing with that. So India need to go just like the Pakistan does a lot of times. Hey, we have nothing to lose. Why don't we just go out and have fun and play? If they can do it, there is a victory possible.
Thank you, Coach, for being our cricket show guest tonight. I'm looking forward to our next session. And at this point, I want to say good night to you and see you for our next session after the game tomorrow.
Yes, thank you and good night to all.
All right, good night.